Hey everyone, it's your favorite host Marcus of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we are going to be diving in and touching on something very unique, something very special. And this is homegrown for me because it's one of my favorite topics. We're talking about technology, we're talking about innovation. And this gentleman here that we're bringing to the podcast stage, Mr. Oscar Klassen. He's a CEO, co-founder of Jaws Tech, a 3D printing specialist company that helps you and me print and receive our items in a very special way with the unique characteristics and the features that has never been done and never been seen too much done at this scale, at this level before. And so I'm happy to have this gentleman on the show. He's a true gem, a true diamond in the rough, and we are going to welcome here on True Gentleman Style Podcast Fashion. Help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Oscar. Welcome. How are you,
Thank you very much
sir?
for having me. Yes, I'm doing well, doing very well.
I appreciate you here, man. You are
Mm.
sharp, man. I've been stalking your Instagram, your social media. You are sharp and you are really crisp. Your 3D printing molds and products and items are really, really, really good.
Mm.
One of the things that stood out to me on your website is, and you guys got to check out his website, is very nice. On the main page, he's standing next to this massive machine. So, brother, I want to start with this.
Yeah,
Is
perfect.
that you? Is that
That
you?
is me. That is my back.
What is that you're standing next to? Can you describe the machine, the equipment? It looks like
Mm.
you're discovering nuclear fusion, brother.
Yeah, exactly. So that is one of our industrial SLS 3D printers. So it is a laser sintering 3D printer. So it's all done with powder and lasers each layer, and we can stack a bunch of parts in the middle of it. And so the inside of that is about 2 feet long, and we can print anything inside that big cake.
Wow.
So, yeah.
How much does that machine go for? Can I go to Walmart and pick it up? Pick up one?
No, specialty order. So that one, when we originally bought it back in 2018, I think we got it for about 400,000 with all the kit and caboodle behind it. Yes, it is. It's a house sitting right there, but
Woo!
ideally, it will put off a decent amount of product. I mean, we're looking for hopefully putting enough product through it that it can make about $50,000 worth of revenue generated from it. A lot of that disappears. There's as I've started to get into this business and operation, we realized how much the overhead costs and stuff like that. But to be honest, it's a fantastic machine and puts out great products. So
Huge, huge, huge. And
yeah.
the reason why I wanted to start here because this isn't where you didn't start being able to drop for your company being able to drop $400,000 on an incredible piece of equipment. How did it start for you getting into this world? Has it always been 3D printing? Because 3D printing is not it's not new anymore, but it's still only been around for I want to say maybe what 5, 6, 10 years. It's not it's not it's not a baby anymore.
No, it's not. So the SLS technology, that machine that's sitting right there, that was developed and finally hit market, I think, in 1999,
Okay.
when it actually hit and was viable. I think the EOS system, they had designed and developed it for BMW. As the BMW team was walking by their booth, it was running. As soon as the BMW team walked away, it stopped running. So they were able to get some funding and pushed into it. So it's a German machine, and that's where the industrial side kind of took off. But then you've got other styles of printing like FDM and SLA and a lot of those things. I mean, I think SLA is the oldest technology, and it was back in like the 60s. They were trying to do something to create it with resins and stuff like that, light bouncing off things. And then you've got all the way to the newest equipment, which is your MJF, multi-jet fusion, that HP has developed with all their inkjet printers. And we've got a few of those here now too. Very similar to the laser sintering process, but instead of lasers, it's ink that blasts onto it with heat and melts into the parts and then creates a big bucket of powder parts inside of that with just that fusion process. And that technology's only been around, I don't know, about 10 years. So that one's really young compared to a lot of the other stuff, but it just keeps developing, keeps improving, and getting better and better. So
Love it, love it. Has your company always been into 3D printing space? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
mm,
Did it start in 3D printing, or did you start with something else and then gravitate to 3D printing? How did it
yeah.
start for you?
Yeah, so I mean, originally I was working at a drone company, and we started to 3D print some of our drones.
Hmm.
So that's initially when I got introduced to 3D printing. And then Jaws Tech, from a spin-off of that company, we were able to go and purchase one of these machines on a very unique, I don't know, purchase agreement. So
Yeah.
a lot of the situation was stars aligning, and we were able to get the machine on site. So no, we did not just drop that amount of cash to pick up that machine. It was a much more uh, unique opportunity to where we could start building up some business, generating some revenue, seeing if we had something. If not, move on to the next thing. If we do, fantastic. Let's grab a hold of this and see where it goes. So, yeah, in 2018, we picked up a machine. By month 6, we started to make our payments and met my wage. So I was just one individual working at Jaws Tech at that point in time. And then by month 8, we needed another machine. So
Wow.
rapid growth. Now we're sitting at about 16 industrial printers. That does not include all of our unpacking and post-processing machines. So we've got about 50 or 60 unique machines here, but only about 16 do the actual printing and manufacturing. Got some CNC equipment too and stuff like that. So we've kind of developed and grown in that from the last 7 years. But the whole way that we were able to do that is providing like an instant quoting. So people just drag and drop your file in, see how much it's going to cost, click order, and we'll send it to your door in 4 days. So that was the unique selling point that we at least offered to our customers and allowed for the level of growth that we've seen.
That is huge. What are exactly are you able to make? Okay, I want to do this. When in the
Mhm.
beginning, when you first started, you were doing drones,
Mm,
and then so you were 3D printing, I guess, the outer layers of the drones, the
mhm.
propellers probably, and anything that was a firm product
Yep.
on the equipment besides electronics and
Mhm.
microchips. So what was the next phase? What was the next thing you were able to 3D print and make? What do you 3D print from where you started to where you are today? What
Where we
can
are
you make?
today. Yeah, so I mean, initially, what we were doing, I'll give that portion is we were 3D printing drones. So the exterior body, the plastic pieces, the arms that were coming out, the body that held the battery, the electronics, your Raspberry Pis. I think it was a Pixhawk algorithm that was inside and stuff like that. And then from there, we picked up the printer, and obviously we needed to fill it. So we developed a online quoting engine, super simple. It basically priced off the grams per material that you were throwing in. And I remember our first customer was printing fishing lures. So these just small little things that you stuck onto the fishing line. And as they would drop into the water, it would spin. And we were printing those, just a
Hmm,
small little bit here and there. And like I said, we weren't making any money for the first couple of months. So it was, I would stick like 4 of those in a build and click print and watch it the whole time. And it was all very fascinating. And now we're doing air intakes for Porsche aftermarket systems. We're doing medical knee braces. We've printed the interior of lungs for surgery study and stuff like that. We've done nearly everything that your mind can possibly imagine: medical space, automotive, aerospace. We've at least dabbled in it or have a consistent customer that is doing production level work with us. And our production machines, we're happy to take a 1 to 20 piece order. We don't make it hard to have access to these machines, but then we're trying to build up to the 10,000, 100,000 piece order where it starts to compete with injection molding and getting competitive. But the flexibility that the 3D printing provides means, like the aftermarket air intake system, they're on revision J, M by now. They're just constantly innovating, changing it up, and so no order is the same. It's always changing, and so that's the flexibility you don't get in injection molding. As soon as you make that mold, you're stuck.
yeah.
That's it. unless you're willing to invest in another $30,000, $50,000 to change it up. And so with 3D printing, it's not just switch it out. And yeah, we maybe are more expensive per piece, but there's a quantity break that, okay, now injection molding makes more sense. But right now, 3D printing works and we can innovate and stay ahead of the game. And that's really what hopefully we provide in a high quality.
Huge. We all see Tesla is one of the companies you've 3D printed for. How much of the Cybertruck is Jaws Tech? How much of what pieces of the Cybertruck is incorporated that we can shout out and say thank you, Jaws Tech, for what pieces are you able to say? Is that proprietary or what?
So unfortunately, most of our clients are all under NDA, and especially with any of the larger ones, we can stick who we've printed for on our site. But as far as individual aspects, we start to get boxed in as no, you can't share that. Don't, because that's one of the difficulties with all our social media that we've pushed out there. A lot of the stuff we print, we can't show. And so it's like, oh, well, now we've got to go find something similar, but without referencing that customer. And because there's a lot of really, really cool things. Foot orthotics is a great example. The insoles in all your feet, shoes and stuff like that. It would be so cool to show off what some people have come up with and stuff. And we've had to keep it very generic and simple just because we're all under NDAs and non-disclosures there. So. That's
a definite hard point for marketing and advertising. Can you at least say have you met Elon Musk?
I have not, unfortunately. No.
Okay.
No. So we do. I mean, obviously, a fair amount of printing in the automotive space, and it's quite fun to get on and discuss with a few of the higher ups as far as engineering wise. But I've never properly met some of the bigger guys that we would know and recognize.
No worries. So today, as you all are facing today, what are some of the things that you can 3D print? If I wanted, you said you can 3D print for shoes, right? Can you literally 3D print me a shoe? Like I want a shoe with the Gentleman Style Podcast logo on it. Can you do that or no? What kind of items can you 3D print?
Yeah, we can get close to it. An example would be some of our rubber materials and stuff like that. Got a cool little, which might be hard to see, but you got this little cube right here, it's printed in a rubber material. Well, I can go squeeze that up, and you could go stick this on the side of your shoe and have a logo all over it and stuff like that. So as long as you can design it, we can make it. So that's just one example, and then another one is like this black little. It's called a noiseless pickleball. So people trying to make it a little less loud for the game. But that's a fun one. And these are both rubber materials. Most of what we do is hard nylon plastics. But like your shoes and stuff like that, there's a lot of hype right now with like the Adidas sole of their shoe being printed. A lot of our machines here could possibly run materials that would manage that. But a lot of design work has to go into that. I wouldn't be able to just generate a shoe and be able to push it out there. But there's some really cool ones coming out, and all different technologies that are trying to push it and make it unique. But the overall process, it's the same. Can run on our machines. It just has to be made for it.
So that's a great point. I'm glad you said that. So you could not make me a shoe. I would have to hire someone else, a designer, to actually design the shoe and then submit that to you. And you would print, I guess, the materials around it. But you couldn't necessarily, you're not going to print the shoestrings. You're not going to print the external, I don't even know what the material, cotton or whatever material is on the outside shoe, but the sole specifically, you can.
Yeah, we would do stuff like that. Yeah, so it really depends. Obviously, you break a shoe down to its components and stuff. We can only do certain ones. There are some people out there trying to do one full shoe where you could slide your foot all the way in, and it's
some
all
Yeezys.
Printed. Yeah, exactly. Even like your Kizik's that go bend down at the backside, and all those cool technologies. And so people are trying to get them all printed, but most of the time, people want cotton over their foot. They don't want hard or rubbing plastic on their back of their heel or something like that. So you got to make it comfortable. People are used to that nowadays. And 3D printing is always getting better and more efficient. But I would say that it's not to the point where we're doing multiple different materials. You can stick cotton inside it and still have it all printed together. At least in our processes that we're doing, the SLS and MJF, it's all enclosed. So I can't pause a print and then stick like a bolt inside it and then press go again. Little things like that are more unique to open face printers like your FDM, where it extrudes out just the material onto a plate. People stick magnets inside it and stuff like that to make it function the way they expect it to. We don't have that option, which makes it a little bit harder for functionality on certain things. But the quality of the product, the strength, the speed, and the accuracy you can get is more than makes up for that. And you just have to do it in different ways to develop and manage it. So a lot of these companies are utilizing it in unique ways to make it work for them.
So when you hit go, there's no stopping the process. It's going until it's done.
Yep. So we'll print a whole build of just layer by layer, sorry, of powder just getting added and then sintering. So an example would be on our MJF, our HP MJF machines. It does about 4,800 layers, and it will do that in about 12 hours. And I can stick one part in there, or I can stick 2,000 parts in there, and they all come out at the same time. So regardless, it's all dependent on that Z height. If I'm printing a full build, it's going to take me 12 hours. I expect it to take 12 hours. So yeah, we try to stack as many parts in there as possible, make it worth our time, starting the printer and press and go. We want as many parts in there as possible, but then quality and speed and quantity start to come into play. You can have it fast, easier, quick. And we run into quality issues if we try to do it too fast or you try to push too many products in. And so that's a whole maintenance program we've got set up here, which is definitely something we had to learn the hard way.
Are you doing any work in construction? Are you doing any work in construction where that's kind of the industry? I think that's gonna you are at the precipice if you aren't already doing it. We're building 3D printed homes
Mm.
in a span of like a couple of days versus months of building a house and all the construction. Are you doing any work in that, or have any, or is Jaws Tech moving towards that direction to 3D print an entire, tiny home community in less than 30 days, a house a day or something like?
Yeah, exactly. So currently we aren't doing it. I've had a lot of talks and discussions and listened to a lot of presentations about the technology. It is really interesting, really cool. It's more chemistry than 3D printing, in my opinion. You're making sure the flow is right and the cement sets and has enough weight to support the layer above, but not too much so it will stick. And there's just a lot that goes into it. But right now with us, we are mostly focused on the plastic manufacturing side. We do a little bit of metals for 3D printing, but as far as like concrete and stuff like that, we haven't dabbled much into that. But it's always been an interest for sure. But yeah.
That's fair. And I see that
Yeah.
on your website. There's some metals listed on here of materials: aluminum, stainless steel, steel, copper, titanium, brass. You can 3D print metals. Am I
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding that correct?
Yeah, you can 3D print quite a few metals. I'm doing a project right now with titanium and stuff like that. So it's really cool, some of the products you can print out for that.
So that's not the traditional. That's not the traditional liquids and colors. That's full on heated metal you're working with.
Yeah. So it's there's multiple different processes that you can utilize in that. So an example is SLM, which is selective laser melting. So it's a laser again, but it's melting a metal powder, and it sinters it onto a build plate. You've got to go chop that metal off, pull off all the supports and stuff like that, finish it, make it look all nice and pretty. And then we're actually dabbling in a new process called cold metal fusion, which is a powder based system still, so it can print on our SLS machines or cheaper machines to the metal manufacturing machines, but then it's got a plastic embedded in it, so it melts it to the shape of your product that you're looking to produce, and then you go stick it in a bath and it pulls out some of the glue, and then you go stick it in an oven and it melts it all together, and now you've got a solid metal part. So there's
Mm.
a couple really cool things that are coming on in that space and always being developed. I mean, the technology's just changing so rapidly, it's hard to stay in front of it. But yeah, we're starting to get to the point where we're actively producing metal parts for a lot of customers, and there's some really big companies out there that's all they do. They do it for aerospace or defense or something like that, and they just have a fleet of metal printers that will produce parts for high tier customers. I know SpaceX prints a ton of product for a lot of their rockets and stuff like that to make it more efficient. And that is all metal printing and just finishing it up based on CNCing out for specific dimensions and requirements for tolerance. So
I could, huge. I could totally see Jaws Tech um, in with what recently happened with the shuttle landing and those two clamps. I think you're a part of that, brother. He can't disclose, y'all. He can't disclose. But I'd be willing to bet folded money that you had something to do with that. But kudos to you and your company, man. That is phenomenal. When you first started, you were doing drones. How much money did you start with? How much capital did you get? Seed investors? Did you get approached by venture capital firms wanting to put money into this? Like, yeah, you're really killing it, or did you have to use your own money? How did the funding of 3D print? Because 3D printing itself, even with the drones you were doing at first, were pretty expensive, right? That's what's it cost to 3D print one drone? If I wanted a quote and I said, can you print the materials of a drone for me? What would my bill be?
yeah, so that typically comes out to, I mean, just a guess for your legs, your body, the arms coming out and stuff. Obviously depends on the size, but you could be anywhere between $100 to $400. So that type of situation. But then you've got to go get all the electronics, the motors, the blades. There's a lot of things that start adding up to make that drone functional. So the company I was with, they just started innovating and started using the process. So that's kind of where I got introduced. And then as far as funding, we're self-funded. My father was one of the ones that kind of helped bolster the opportunity for getting into the space. Um, had a call with the EOS SLS manufacturer, and they're the ones who then positioned an opportunity to bring it on without much capital investment, which made it doable. Otherwise, yeah, it wouldn't have been possible to even get into the space. So there was minimal investment to start with, and then just a lot of what felt like long hours and sweat, and tears, and
Grind.
eventually, yeah, just doing cold calling and cold emails, outreach, just letting people know that we have this machine, it needs filled up. What do you have? And that was hard. One of the best ways to convert those was the instant quoter that we did develop. Then people can just drag and drop their parts on there, and it made it so much easier for people to see. Oh yeah, it's only going to cost me $30. I want that. I can't get it done that way any other way. So that's definitely kind of where we've landed, and we've been self-funded since. Just all reinvesting right back into the company, and that's where we've grown.
So you're still a privately held company. You're not
Yep.
you're not on a stock exchange. This is still homegrown using company money to continue to buy these machines and service your clients
Yeah. Yeah.
from through
Exactly.
and through. And dad was an early seed supporter
Yeah.
of shout out to dad, man. Shout out
Yeah. Exactly.
to dads. Fathers are necessary. That's huge.
Mm.
What kind of negative, because you said it was hard making the cold calls, going to door, sending out the emails, cold calling people. What was the biggest obstacles that you had to overcome in this space that really kept you up at night and really sometimes made you even want to quit? Like, man, this is too hard. This is impossible. I've called 100 people and 99 of them said no.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the worst things is the rejection that you start to feel. I definitely wasn't experienced in that space, so it hurt more than I wanted to allow it. Um, But once you started to get a few people that were willing to put some faith and trust in you, that bolsters your confidence. From there, we kind of set up a couple strategic partnerships of people that were trying to offer similar services, but didn't have the machines and stuff like that. So that's where key partnerships kind of helped boost the amount of revenue that we were able to do. But as far as what kind of kept us up at night, I found when we got overwhelmed, that's when I was the most stressed. When I was underwhelmed, I felt like I could, or not doing enough. I felt like we could try harder at certain things. But once we got overwhelmed and you needed a new machine, you needed to hire 10 more people, it just felt like everything was landing on my plate at one point in time. And how do we get ourselves out of this? That's when I felt the widest sense of we're going to crash and burn here. What's going on? So improving that and making the experience for the customer better rather than keep blasting the amount of sales that we're getting and stuff like that. And to the point where we get overwhelmed again, it really became important to us is to make sure that the service that we're providing stays consistent and we don't have to sacrifice that quality. We said we would get you your part in 4 days, but we got overwhelmed and now it's taking 8 days. Well, we don't want to run into that. And so that's one of the big positions that we've been in, as just improving or optimizing our workflow. That way we can continue to grow. So that growth pain was really difficult to experience because when you're in the growth, it feels like it's just going to keep rolling. You're going to keep getting increase in sales and stuff like that. But you always hit that spot where it's like, oh, this is too much. And you got to take and learn from that. And I think that helped with some of the key advisors that I had as far as trying to help me understand that this was a natural part of development and growth in the business.
You're so right. You're so right because I the reason why I asked that is because it's not easy. To,
Mm,
I know a lot of people probably look up to you and your company, and they think, "Oh man, he's killing it in 3D printing. Let me go get one."
mm,
Right? And it's gonna be fruits and berries and it's gonna be easy, and clients are gonna find me, and then I'll be working with Microsoft and Tesla and this major microchip company is down the street to me, and my cousin works there, so I know we'll be good,
yeah,
right? And
exactly.
it's never that easy.
Mm,
It's never that easy, and I asked that question because I think more people need to hear that. I think they get excited about entrepreneurship and they see the entrepreneurs, or in my opinion, the fakes, right?
mm,
They're flashing cars, they're flashing Lamborghinis, they're flashing the girls, and they're flashing the fancy housing, and they think that's what's at the end of the rainbow.
mm,
But I feel like in a lot of cases, most cases, entrepreneurship is so humbling
mm,
because it'll expose you on and show parts of you that you didn't even know were there. Like you said, the marketing exposed you to like um so many people telling you no,
mm,
so many people shutting you down. And again, most most people don't expect that. I have a great product. It's the best seller. Why isn't it selling?
mm,
Because people, there's so many complexities to marketing. Me myself and my partner are learning this firsthand, and we're experimenting with so many different the things that we thought were going to kill it in marketing and advertising, and we spent money on a lot of money on, didn't move the needle at all.
mm.
It's like, are you kidding me? This was supposed to work. Why isn't this working? And so huge insight and knowledge sharing there, Miss Oscar. And I appreciate you sharing the heart behind of that. Um, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I wanna ask the question. Have you ever had a machine in the middle of printing run out of, I don't want to say ink, but run out of material, printing material? What did you do? How did you handle it? Or maybe not even run out of material, but break on you, flat out just it stopped
Yep.
working, it's not powering on. I don't know what's going on. And
Yep.
what did you do and how did you handle it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a fairly common occurrence, and
Really?
it's awful. Yeah, and that mostly comes down to environment or poor maintenance, um, or just the wear and tear of the equipment. So it is definitely something that we have to wrestle with and make sure we are doing correctly. So on at least the processes we have here, we've got one large machine that will do very large pieces. And that machine has failed a couple times in the middle of a build. Um, Roughly $4,000 worth of material wasted.
Mm,
Oh, and it's vicious. It
mm.
is not exciting. Especially to come in, you see the whole thing crash. There was a large part in there, it failed, so you're gonna have to reprint that anyway. There's just so many things that go into getting the parts out the door every time. And so when something like that happens, it really makes you look back and reflect on what did we just do? So definitely one of the things that we want to improve and get better at is like our maintenance and consistency of the parts coming off of our machines and stuff like that. So um, unfortunately, it is a common occurrence, and we try to avoid it as much as possible. But it's most of the time you just have to eat it and fix the problem and go back at it again.
And at what point would you, if the equipment breaks, at what point do you let the customer know, and you tell the client, or you say, "Hey, man, I know you gave me XYZ dollars for this, but I need more money because the machine broke, or the machine halfway through, um, just locked up, and I
Yep.
need to do it again, but in order for me to do it again, I need to charge you for more material." Anything like that ever happen?
Yeah. So one of the frustrations at the start of the process is when you only have one printer and it fails. And there's nothing you can't do it. It's I need a service tech to come out here. I need this fixed. I need to diagnose the problem, get it back up. Sometimes it's down for 3 days. I told the customer to be there tomorrow, and I don't have a working printer. So in those situations, it ended up us being like, yeah, you can either wait or we can refund you. Those are the two options.
Ouch.
And it sucks. Yeah, it's awful because we've already tried to print it, or it's just failing our build every time, so it's not worth us to keep doing it. But now that we have multiple machines, we're able to move a lot of that product around. So one machine crashes, it's gone down. We have to have a tech out, or we can service it ourselves, but the parts won't be here till tomorrow. We can move it to the next machine, get it printing, and then hopefully meet the lead time still. Um, Very rarely will we request more money from the customer, being that it's a machine fault issue or a maintenance issue. We don't like to push that off on the customer. We quoted it out at $25, and if we can't fulfill that with what expectations we set, we either take the loss or refund it. And you won't get a product, but at least you've got your money back, and hopefully you're able to find a different provider for it or find another service that can maybe meet your needs. Um, but yeah, it really depends on what level at the service you can provide. With one machine, it's hard. Once you have more, you can hopefully meet the demand still and meet their lead times. But we always run into the side of, yeah, we said it would be there in 4 days. We're at 6 right now. It's shipping out the door. We apologize for that. And typically, customers are understanding. It's manufacturing. Unfortunately, things go wrong, and it's a new form of manufacturing, like we mentioned before. Um, and so we get a lot of understanding customers. Some people don't take that, and that's unfortunately the nature of the beast, is that you run into some of those issues and can't make everyone happy, but we can try, and
Yeah.
hopefully we do a good job at least giving our best and trying to improve.
No, but I love the heart behind it, right? Most companies wouldn't do that, right? Most companies wouldn't offer you the option to refund your money, or hey, give me some extended time to work
Mm.
on this. This is how we've mediated it. The part is on order. The part is coming tomorrow. The part is coming the next day. I need more time. And with respect to deadlines, right? Some
Mm.
companies have deadlines that they have to
Yep.
meet, for product launch. They're launching, I can imagine, right?
Oh
This
yeah.
this company is launching on Monday. So unfortunately, not anything against you or Jaws Tech company. They just have a deadline to meet, and they can't
Yep.
wait. They can't give you
Exactly.
the time. And that's respectable on both ends, right? You're a
Yep.
businessman, they're businessmen and women, And so it's just the nature of the beast. No harm, no foul. We'll give you your money back so you can go and pay someone else to do it and meet your deadline.
Yep, exactly.
So that's fair. But again, shout out to Jaws Tech for having the heart to say, listen, we're sorry. We'll give you your money back. Again, it's not easy. Um, and especially with the addition of the technology where a client can just upload the schematics to you. You said that was a game changer for you, because I can imagine me and trying to draw you what's in my head and then sending that to you. Is that how people typically did in the beginning? They would have to email some admin email that you would check every day, and then you would kind of like, okay, this don't make any sense. I don't know what I'm printing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I would get napkin sketches. I'd get all sorts of things of like, hey, I want this made. So initially I was like, sure, we won't turn away business. I'll design it for you. And we would charge just a smaller fee because we wanted to get it printing and stuff like that. We started to realize it was really hard to meet the expectations of people in that situation. They expected it to look this way or have this kind of attribute, and we just don't know the full application. So there's specialists out there that know exactly how to design for people that start with a napkin sketch, get them to a stage where they actually can understand the product and then develop it. And I was learned CAD design from YouTube and trying to figure it out for these guys, and it just didn't work out great. So we kind of steer away for the engineering clients or individuals that have already designed their product with a design service coming towards us and just drag and drop their CAD models. And we just spit out a pricing for them for that. So steered away from the design side just because of the difficulty we had in that. But we've got a partner now that will take on a lot of that work. You come to us saying, hey, I need this done. We'll send you on to them. They can help develop it, and then they send it back to us. We'll print it for you. And so far, it's actually been a great service because they really understand how to bring the idea out of the individual. Because sometimes that's the hardest thing is when you're developing something, we need to know each and every measurement and radius and how are you going to implement this. There's a lot of steps to design the product that's in someone's head. And so hopefully with that kind of service and being able to then print it and manufacture it, we're able to kind of seal the dot. But to start with, it was really difficult because we didn't like turning people away. It was the whole business idea of, no, come on, we'll accept anyone. But man, it was hard.
I can't imagine. Yeah, you're right. You can't have someone come up to you and be like, hey, I need it this big and this tall and this tall.
Mhm.
Like, that's not a measurement. I need measurements because of the nature of what you're doing.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
I need actual measurements. You can't tell me, oh, it just need to be small.
Yeah.
What's small? What is small to you?
Well, and quite often you get people like, hey, can you print the face of my grandpa and stuff like that? And while that would be great, I can't design that. There's just no way. You're going to have to go scan your grandpa's face and then get that into a generative software so that we can actually print the mask or the face and everything. So it was just most of the time in those situations, it was like, sorry, we don't do figurines, or we don't do.
You can't do the
like
iron.
that.
You can't make me an Iron Man helmet.
If you find the design, we'll print it for you. But I'm not a good enough designer to build an Iron Man.
Fair enough. Yep. Super powerful. This is an epic conversation. You guys, we got to pay some bills. We got to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a reliable professional trucking and logistics service, you've come to the right place. Musa Trucking is a veteran-owned and operated premier transportation provider that can help with all of your trucking and logistics needs. Musa is revolutionizing the trucking industry through strategic partnerships, the development of core personnel, and the use of cutting-edge technology. Our inventory system ensures that cargo ends up divided into the right trucks and reaching the correct destination. Our drivers are dedicated to transporting goods efficiently and safely. Contact us today to get started by visiting the website on the screen or by calling 757-756-5246.
Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we are here in Patrick Henry Mall, Newport News, Virginia. We're actually here for something unique just inside. Something new, brand new that we want to explore together. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Here we go. Hey, boss. Heard you were an athlete, man. See you at the mall every day. We are at Patrick Henry Mall, living up, and we are talking about CBD. But first off, the normal thing that we all deal with is joint pain, back pain, suffer from everything.
Neck pain too.
Neck pain? You got some neck pain?
All the time, man. I'm getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? We're not young no more.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Bruh, CBD helps with that exact same thing. Neck pain, back pain, joint pain, all the pains, everywhere pain, right? And so that's what CBD does. That's what we're here to help you and me do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right.
CBD is one of the most powerful cannabinoids because all it's focused on is the health and wellness. We're talking helping people with anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep deprivation, all provided. CBD works with the natural mechanics of your body without the crazy side effects of Western medicine. So these products are here to actually align your body and get it back right so we can actually have a better quality of life. And that's what CBD does. Hello. We are back to Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we have the incredible Mr. Oscar Klassen. Yep, am I saying that right, brother?
Yep. Yeah, you're good there.
Perfect. Oscar Klassen of Jaws Tech. He's the co-founder of this and 3D printing specialist of this company, the incredible company. He has broken down how he does it, where he does it, who he does it for. He's been printing, his company's been printing for some of the biggest names in the industry, cars, shoes, sneakers, anything you could 3D print and put your mind around, they can do it. They are your go-to for the 3D printing grand poobah of the industry. So powerful. You can get this episode on iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Ghana, Facebook business page, anywhere, even Audible. We are there, and Mr. Oscar is there spilling the tea on Jaws Tech co-founder. Brother, how did you guys come up with the name Jaws Tech? What does that mean? What does it mean to you? I feel like there's like a hidden meaning behind it.
Well, we wanted to make it memorable, so we were trying to figure out a way to like introduce a mascot or something like that. And man, it was really hard. And then the jaws of a CNC machine clamps around your parts. We were like, oh, we should do something with jaws. And so we stuck tech on the backside of it, and that's kind of where it came from. We get a lot of questions about the name. And most of the people in our industry are like, I'm just glad you didn't put 3D in it, because most people are something 3D or 3D something. So we're a 3D printing company, but we don't say 3D in our name to hopefully keep us a little more unique.
Yeah, that is unique, but I feel like, have you ever had an issue where someone overlooked you or a customer overlooked you because they didn't know what you did by the count of your name? Like, that's something I feel like if I was looking for 3D printing and I came across you and I typed you in Google, I wouldn't know that you did 3D printing because it's not in your name. Have you ever had anything like that?
Every once in a while, someone would be like, "Oh, I didn't realize you did that." But it's more of an intriguing name where they'll start to ask, "Oh, what is Jaws Tech?" So it at least starts the question. Whereas, like we've seen quite a few scanning services or design services that have 3D in their name as well. So with 3D, you don't necessarily know it's only 3D printing. It could be 3D designing or 3D scanning, and there's multiple different aspects to it. So at least with the Jaws Tech name, it gets people asking the question like, what is that? What does it do? And it leaves people guessing a little bit. And so hopefully that encourages a conversation and gets us to the next stage of talking about business.
Absolutely. Yeah. It
Yeah.
generates enough curiosity so I can talk to you about everything that we do. So
Yeah, exactly.
makes perfect sense. What are
Mm.
your thoughts about 3D printing when it comes to the environment? Can you speak on that? The
Mm.
impact of 3D printing because um behind back scene backstage, I was trying to figure out the word. Backstage, we talked about there is I had a friend here that used to do 3D printing and it seemed like there was a lot of waste when
Mm.
she would 3D print something because she would have to 3D print it and then she would have to rip off the stance or the pillars that
Support
would
system.
hold up the support system. You'd
Mm.
have to kind of rip it off and shave it off to get it off because that's what actually holds the mold up while it's in the machine. And it seemed like there was a lot of waste when it came to 3D printing. And so when it comes to 3D printing, is there a lot of waste when it comes to your process, and how do you work that?
Yeah. So, being that there's multiple different thoughts or processes to manufacture, it really depends which one you're doing. Most likely, in that example, is an FDM printer. So it prints the model standing straight up, and you have to have its arm out and stuff. So you have to have supports holding that arm up so it doesn't just droop down and break or something like that. So that's a little bit of waste, but that percentage is usually a lot less than the actual model. So it's usually a 10% of the overall plastic usage, or less. And then you've got a couple different processes. SLA also requires supports. It's a resin that prints upside down in usually a laser pattern as well, and it will create supports to hold on to every aspect that's getting lasered together in a liquid bath. But in our process with the powder-based system, we're able to vacuum up all the residual powder because we print a full cake, and all of that powder gets recycled back into the process. So we actually run an 80-20% mixture of old to new. So we only have 20% new powder going into the machine, and we're packing it to like a 15% packing density. So we're only losing a little bit of percentage, and a lot of it can just be reused, even if we're not printing that high or anything, and we can just keep recycling it constantly. So there's a little bit of waste in the process we're using, but we don't require support, so we're not ripping stuff off. It is just vacuuming up the powder, mixing it back in, and throwing it back into the printer. So it makes it pretty efficient, along with quite a few of the plastics that we have now come from renewable sources. A great example is the nylon 11 material that we run on site. It's from HP. It's 100% based on renewable products and stuff like that. So that makes it even more environmentally friendly.
Incredible. Incredible. That's huge. 80-20 split. So only 20% of your new product is going into, and you're reusing 80% of the previous product. And so you're really saving. You don't have to spend an entire amount of money on rep- ordering replacement powder.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty efficient process. I mean,
Yeah.
we buy powder in big octa bins that weigh like 400 kilos or more. I think I'm wrong about that. I can't remember how much they weigh, but they're big and massive, and we just slowly take scoops in and out, and it's all done through like a vacuum system, and it mixes it all for us and dumps it back into the machine.
Incredible. Incredible. When it comes to 3D printing, and I asked this question a while ago, right? Someone created the logo for Gentleman Style Podcast. Someone
Mm.
created the logo for Jaws Tech. And so, how do you guys handle, because you're creating items and pieces and parts that I guess industries are sharing their secrets with you. So,
Mm.
how do you handle intellectual property issues when customers request to print patented designs?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, so we're happy to sign NDAs and non-disclosures with all of our customers. We've got our base NDA, and anyone who sends us theirs, we're happy to sign those most of the time and make sure that they're protected. As far as data security, that is one of our most important aspects that we have here. So all uploads are confidential. We are an ITAR certified company. So that just means for international trade of arms and regulations. So we can handle some of the more secure documents and electronically transferred files and stuff like that. So it's a really big importance to us, and one of the key things that we had to make sure was done correctly and right on the back end. So no one has access to any of the products and models that we accept through our online ordering service. We do run into situations where people require us to use certain formats in order to get them a quote, which is perfectly fine. We're happy to do that and have it a little bit more unique and secure based on their requirements. But that's definitely a large concern in the industry. And we've hopefully, well, I know we've managed to have at least our back end as secure as possible for our high tier clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the company is open to signing an NDA, y'all. So your secret is safe with them, and
Mm-hmm.
so he can safely print your product and not disclose it to your competition, and not have to worry about, well, hey, this manufacturer also works with you. Make sure none of my stuff get in their hands. So huge, huge, huge. And so, is there any issues with that where a competitor wants to work with you, but because you're already working with me, you can't work with them, or is there any protocol for that?
Yeah, so we won't agree to a non-compete situation. We do not disclose any information, but a non-compete would require us to obviously turn away clients and stuff like that. We're not looking to get into a battle between two individuals or anything. We are purely a manufacturer. So the terms of us turning away business because you don't want any of your competitors to be in the same space is not something we typically allow. So if you want to work with us, we have to be able to manufacture for the industry. We've had a few people that have required some pretty stringent ones of no one in a very wide margin of an industry, and it's like, oh, we can't do that. And they'll typically turn around, oh, okay, that's fine. We can just eliminate that from the portion. Which, yeah, that's kind of what we expect if they want us to be able to work with them, because we may have already a client in that space, so we can't suddenly sign a non-compete and then throw them to the side. So yeah, it really depends on kind of what requirements customers do have, but we're happy to try to work out details, like is there a specific reason you need that, or even just to bring more confidence out. Well, Jaws Tech does this to safeguard your secrets and stuff like that.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Your company also prints medical devices.
Mm.
How do you ensure the safety and quality of 3D printed medical devices?
Yeah. So we've got a pretty stringent quality control process. We are ISO 9001 compliant. We follow quite a few guidelines as far as that goes in maintenance and management of our systems for people in our space. So for example, on the medical side, all our machines are calibrated to a certain degree, making sure that they meet the standards that the manufacturers of those machines have set. So we just want to make sure that those are kept up on, and that we can always meet the requirements coming down the line for those medical clients with the safety standards that they've requested and stuff like that.
Does that standard also cross over into, do you print human organs and tissues as well?
We do not. None of our machines are quite that fancy, but there's some really cool ones out there. A great example of what we can do in that space is we printed the heart of a baby that was going to a hospital so they could test how they were going to do the surgery. So it was a plastic heart. It wasn't real, but it was how they were going to go into the body and how they were going to run the actual surgery. Was all done and tested on the products Jaws Tech produced. Nothing was going inside the human body, but it was a great way to train and teach the surgeon exactly what they were going to do.
Well, that's a whole industry for you guys, right? Because
Massive industry.
right? Because all these colleges and universities need these prosthetics to train the future doctor, to train
Exactly.
the future nurse. So even though it may not go into a body, you still have to print it for maybe a local school, a
Yep.
local university who, hey, we need 10,000, skeletons. Or
No,
we need-
exactly. And each one can be unique. That's the other side, is you could have slight different corners and edges to your heart or your lung or the knee surgery you're going to do. You can have it unique based on the individual. And so you can have a very detailed surgical guide for exactly how your knee, my knee, the knee down the road he crushed it when he was 7 and it's completely different than everyone else's. You can print the whole thing and know exactly where each scalpel and each prong should go and do it right. So we've seen quite a few instances of surgical guides coming into our space that this is exactly where the robot should push in, and this is exactly what it needs to do, and it should pull out this way, and there's no way else it can do it, and it goes on the right knee, and it improves turnaround time for the surgery, so it takes less time, as well as recovery for the patient, because you have very minimal space inside the body that it's actually affecting. So there's some really cool ones out there.
That is really cool. That's really cool. Shout out to Jazz Tech. That is super good. Super necessary. How do you guys handle the massive influx of orders? Have you ever had to turn away a client because it's like, listen, you want this much, and we can't mass produce that in 4 days, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had to turn down a client?
Unfortunately, yeah. The requirement on quantity in a certain amount of lead time does put a large strain on us. That's become easier as we've gotten more machines. Now with our 16 machines, it's a lot easier to bring on a large client to the point where we can turn around product pretty quickly. But yeah, there's certain ones where it's I need this in 4 days, you got to get it to me, and it's like there's just no way. Even if we ran 24/7 for the next 4 days, we would only print like a tenth of your order, but there's no way we can manufacture this. So sorry, we're not able to help you. And so hopefully they found someone else, but yeah, there's not many manufacturers out there that is able to do that type or level, especially to take the jump on stop all your other customers' production and only do you for 4 days. We've had some large opportunities suddenly come up where they needed as many as they could. And so it's kind of like an open PO, which is really fun to have. So they print as much as you can, as quick as you can, and ship it out, and we'll pay you for it. Yep, but it's a short time frame. So you get 2 weeks, send me as much as you can. And it's because they're doing this with like 4 other manufacturers. So unique opportunities come like that every once in a while, and those are fantastic, but they don't always happen, and they don't stay around for very long because not many people will give you an open PO like that. But those opportunities do happen every once in a while, and it is really cool to jump on it, perform well. One of those, I would say that we were one of 7 businesses that jumped on it, and I think we were 3 or 4 days late compared to everyone else to getting the opportunity, and I think we overproduced everyone in that service. So that was really cool.
Jaws Tech was brought on late and still outperformed all the other competition. That's huge.
Yeah,
in your face.
Yeah, exactly. Get my competitive spirit up, and
one of those late nights, churning and burning. Got all 20 machines running.
Running hard.
That's dope. Dope. This has been an incredible conversation, an incredible dialogue. Powerful. Your entrepreneurial journey is inspiring, Mr. Oscar. I appreciate you, man.
I really appreciate being here. It's been a fantastic conversation, Marcus. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. You are necessary. I want to say that to you publicly. You and your entire team, everyone at Jaws Tech, is absolutely necessary. if you had one more nugget in the hat, man, you've shared so much insight, so much wisdom, so many thought-provoking answers and topics. If you had one more nugget to that young entrepreneur that's flying a drone right now and they're deciding to take the leap into the industry, into any industry, whether it be 3D printing or anything else, what would you say to them right now? Words of wisdom.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I would definitely have to say failure's not your enemy. You got to try and just keep trying. There's no wrongs in a failure, only rights, things you've learned. So
facts. How can people connect with you? How can people follow what Jaws Tech is doing? The train has left the station, but if someone wants something 3D printed, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, obviously 3D printing, our website, jawstech.com, is the best way to get started with that. Anything else, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, Facebook. I think we have TikTok and whatnot, and just to see kind of what we're doing, how we're making an impact, and anything that's new.
Love it. Connect. That's for our audio listeners. That's www.jawstech.com. Check them out. Connect. Get on board. It is powerful. They're dope. Super powerful. Well, we gotta let this incredible man go. We are out of time. Gotta let him go. He has many more jobs to fulfill, many more 3D products to print, and he's taking over the entire world. Super dope. So, like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and Mr. Oscar Klassen of Jaws Tech, co-founder, CEO, and 3D printing specialist, and his team. Signing off. Love you guys. Bye.